Okay, I've gone back to the old red, green, blue, some off Adobe sort of thing. And I'm trying 4 right, 4 down in the darkness to see whether there's anything. We've had quite a development almost overnight. So this is my nacre that's come off of the newspaper cellulose, and it's going brown, like it's producing so-called tannins sort of thing. And I've also, I don't know if I can go on spot colour, I've also got penicillium growing on the surface of the nacre already. I don't know if you can see that down there. I don't know if the camera can pick that up without touching the lens or whatever. I've already got back to last night 7:30 report, half the programme was still on Don Burke, and as I said, they've got another 5 in the can. They reckon it's already been passed by their lawyers, and that's out of a belly. What is it? A belly? No, not a belly. Of a raft of 65. So there's another 59, in other words, to trot out eventually if they get enough corroborating evidence and it passes the legal sort of thing. So we're watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, billionaire, and I started to see if Eddie was sweating or not. Yeah, because my partner and I reckon that he's definitely we think he's probably going to be on the list. Apparently, anyway. Anyway, I started flushing this. I haven't quite finished flushing, but already I've noticed it feels feels drier. You know what I mean? So it's not as wet as you would normally expect coir to be, and the same with the newspaper. It's more damp than wet sort of thing. But so far, they are swelling up, but I haven't finished flushing, so this might be interesting. This might be the apart from the fact that we now know we probably get some tannins coming off the whitewood, not the brown, and very quickly. That might explain how we can actually grow Sarah Senior with just a capping of newspaper cellulose, because every time you you flush it, the first flush, microbes can grow very quickly, so they can actually produce well, I mean, look at that. Look how dark that is, and that's within 24 hours sort of thing. So, give it 3 days and you've probably got it as dark as peat, So, yeah, very interesting. So, we'll keep investigating into this, but anyway, I might actually make use of this. Give it the old heave-a-rooney. Are we on the spot colour? If I poke myself in the eye with a pair of scissors? Yes, we are. Good. As he says, left-handedly taking the lid off. Okay. Let's do the old 50-50 by eye. Okay, that should be enough. And we'll see how we go. Put the old lid on there. Give it the old shakeroonie, and let's go out and take ourselves a cutting or two. So we've definitely got penicillium in there, so it should be producing its antimicrobials. Got the so-called tannins in there, just probably to about 1/3 of the normal strength that you see them at. So that's not too bad, I suppose. And we'll just let's put the old spider rooney, and we'll go in here and we'll go down there, and we'll take this leaf off down there, and let's take off a nice, something that will fit in the jar, of course, and probably float. So let's do that one there. So we'll take it here and we'll just pop it in the jar and watch it float. Let's do a couple of these just in case. You never know. Might be a fun exercise. So maybe 3. 3 different types, because you never know, we might find we get growth off of. So we put this in here, in there, and take the camera down on the old spot culling down here, get it in some sunlight, and hopefully when I take the camera down, we should be able to, right down there, move it around a bit, and hopefully it's focusing, doing its magic. You can see there, so we probably want to give it a good shake up. You know, as I say, what do they say in tissue culture? Half the thing is getting the bugs off the outside of the plant. So anyway, we'll give it a go. So, and then we'll just float her in the old water. That'll keep her nice and cool. So we have that bright. Oh wow, look at that. So obviously it's slightly, what is that? Slightly under half. We'll bring it down to the floating like that. So unfortunately the lid's there. So maybe we should put some polystyrene on one end to keep it up. So I don't know. But then our sunlight is so bright. I'm sure it's going to get, but it's going to, the sunlight's actually going to go through the water now and through the glass. So the glass will take out the UV, won't it? There's only quartz lets through UV. Makes you wonder thinking about the sand. Oh, look at the look down there with the. I don't know if my camera can focus on the bubbles there. That's just. I reckon I could get a nice, beautiful screenshot out of there. And on the, if you can focus in, I can just put the tip of the turret onto the water there. I don't know. Anyway, how are these going? Oh yes, still green, still green. Up there, still green, green, green. So yeah, that one's still green, so that's good. What about these ones in here? If I can get through the moisture, maybe I have to film it from underneath. Still green, still green. So there you go, still green and still green. That's something. What about the cape? Can I see the cape? Can you see the cape, fellas? Ah, there. Partially green on the leaf ends, so that's something. Anyway, we'll see how we go. It's a fun little experiment, fellas, you know, trying to come up with a new form of tissue culture as rough as guts, you know. Cut things off with an unclean pair of scissors. That sounds like one of those bloody pirate songs. He cutting it off with an pair of scissors. Barnacle Bills. A sea shanty, that's what I'm trying to think. Yeah, sea shanty. Anyway, that's about it for now, I think. I'm just going to see if there's any. Oh, and by the way, come this morning, the news breakfast, more allegations were coming out. Like did they say he actually sexually assaulted this time a foreign, something like a foreign exchange student or something from Japan or something? I think they said. I can't remember if I got the details right. As I said, it's breaking. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, we've gone back to spot on there. Okay. So yeah. So we're learning very rapidly now new things that we can probably actually get so-called in quotes tannins from the whitewood. That's a bit of an eye-opener. Maybe that's why the sphagnum works. If we assume that sphagnum is a whitewood, hasn't become the brownwood. Yeah. And sphagnum, of course, contains no lignin. But peat does, and peat's cation-anion exchange capacity, or in other words, its salt index, is proportional to its lignin content. And the same with other, sedge peats and all the others, it's proportional to their lignin content. But of course, the original progenitor of the peat moss and other peat don't contain any lignin. Well, we know that definitely for sphagnum anyway. Don't know about the other peats like sedge. Probably not for sedge. I'm assuming sedge is so tough it's got to have lignin in it. But according to the books, sphagnum, the original sphagnum plants contain no lignin. Whether that's just an error that goes back hundreds of years, people with their early day microscopes and then the dyes or something. The chap who defined this used the wrong dye. It wasn't actually a lignin staining dye or something like that. Made an error. I don't know. I say it sounds so contradictory. It's like all these other things. What's the other thing we have? Yeah, the highest micronutrient found in peat is copper, and yet CPs aren't supposed to like copper. But then again, we got this notion now, this sort of running hypothesis, and maybe the fact there's at least two salt index groups of CPs, and that's it, more actually if you count the bigger ones, you know, the cephalodas and the Helium-4 and things like that. Maybe there's also at least 2 groups of, you know, glycophytes, which are the classical ones that Starr worked on, you know, the rotundifolias and all that other stuff. And then you've got well, what's this old world Nepenthes and new world Nepenthes, you know? I mean, where does cephalotus sit in there, you know, because they call it New Holland. So it's sort of a bit of both. Is it a really old world pitcher plant or a fairly young world New Holland pitcher plant? I mean, yeah. Yes, I said, when you start to think about these things, suddenly the pennies start dropping and you think, hang on a minute, old world, new world, where does cephalotus fit in there? Where does the old Albany pitcher plant fit in there? You're telling me porkies, you give me bollocks? Don't give me that bullshit. I think that's the way it's been. Anyway, I've got some sunlight out here now. We've got a change. It's supposed to be 37 today. We've got a change coming in with storms, so we could have possibility of bushfire whenever there's lightning strikes on the end, and hopefully no wind. If we have wind, lightning strike plus wind is a terrible bushfire day for those people overseas who don't know about this country. Anyway, I just come in and have a quick oh Jesus. Turn that pot round, Richard, turn that pot round. I don't really want to, I don't want to upset things, you know. As we learned from the Kaipo Forest after Ash Wednesday, you know. And they dug up all the, that's making a move, that little seedling, I think. When they dug up all the, turned the soil upside down, they destroyed all the mycorrhizas, and you haven't seen donkey orchid in the front part of Brookman Road for, well, since Ash Wednesday. So what's that, coming up to nearly 40 years now, is it? 83, 93, 2003, 2013, yeah. So, you know, 40 years in 2023, basically. So, yeah. Anyway, anything else to report? Still, why is the seedling type one the best, you know? Why is that one out there the better of the 4, you know, sort of thing? It's a one quarter, basically. And this one's the only one that's really making a move. Those other 2, yeah. Yeah, I think I actually am going to get confluence on that eventually. As I said, I'll go into the spot culling and, you know, we can see we got all these spots, and slowly over time, we slowly draw our plans against ourselves. Oh yeah, this one's starting to put out a leaf in there. I don't know if you can get it in there. And this one, as I said, the patchiness is there. I reckon that 1/3 is going to confluent. Yeah, 1/3 near the plant. It's strange, isn't it? And there's got a bit of patchiness over there too. So still no movement on this one yet. Don't know, but I said I need to put some more fly traps in here. This is sand. This is crazy sand. I'm getting all these sort of what do you call it? Aero type sort of things coming up from the sand. It's very easy to wet. Flows right through, almost looks dry at some stages, and you put a little bit of water in and the whole thing will just wetten up and start flowing very quickly out of it. Very strange therefore. So surfacted sand is still waiting for some greening or something on there, but the bees keep having a good old natteroonie in there. Still smelling a bit cheesy. This one here, we're going to get some sort of bluish tint on these things eventually, fellas, do you think? I don't know how far I can... Bloody hell, I'm going to turn the pot, fellas. Turn that pot, Richard. For God's sake, turn the pot. Okay. And in there, I'm hopefully we'll get a leaf out of this sometime in the near future, I think, hopefully. Okay, so we'll turn the pot round here. Might get a few screenshots. Interesting screenshots. Okay, I don't know how close I can get. Okay, so it looks like it's going to make a new growth centre there, and eventually something else is going to happen. We get some little tacky plants on the other side and maybe some there, if we're lucky, if we don't have some bloody scorching days or something. Was that about it? Over there, I think. Yeah, that's about it. Anyway, that's about it. Getting a bit red down the centre there, a bit more. As I said, you always want like a magenta red, you know, a hot pink red sort of thing. Still can't pick the that patch of cyanophyta up really well. Move the pot, Richard, move the pot. But when I wetten it up, you can actually see that sort of cyanophyta down there. So And all this annual ryegrass is interesting because I like the colour down the base of the annual ryegrass. If you can see in there, the colour. Always colouring up at the base where the growth comes from. Colouring up the base when the growth comes from. Yeah, I know. Well, that's about it. Nothing much else to report. So this is getting really overcrowded in here with the, well, is this a different grass? Yes, this is slightly different, isn't it? No, I think it's annual ryegrass. So anyway, fellas, it's about the best I can do down there. What about this one over here? It's going to run out fairly short, I reckon. Yeah, 3 minutes. Now the iron, I would say, is sort of petering out, sort of thing. So still aluminium is the one to go. So you don't forget the good scissors. Oh yes, this one here starting to make a move. Even though we lost a bit of sand last night, you know, about 4 or 5 cubic inches, I suppose. Oh yeah, down there. Can you see that? It's starting to make a move on the side there. Yeah, this one has got a leaf in there. Starting to make a move there too. So they're starting to make a move at the same time, so that's something. But yeah, this one's going to be interesting. So this is against the bark chip, the newspaper says. So we know that bark chip. Oh, and the water started flowing yesterday, slightly ginger beard sort of colour. So it's all sort of concomitant at the moment. So do we get tannins from the bark chip, but we really get tannins from the newspaper setting when it starts to break down? So basically with the double flush, every time you wet it the first time, you give the chance for the microbes to have a good old chomp on it, and the penicillin to get in there, and somehow it makes, and that's probably why in that milk bottle container we've got a very humid environment there. So you want a greenhouse to keep the humidity up so the microbes can chomp into your whitewood to make your so-called, in quotes, tannins. I don't know. Is that the way it works? And in the second flush, you're washing those sort of breakdown products, or in quotes, microbial tannins, through the pot, picked up by the roots. I don't know. Well, at least we've got a sort of angle now. That's why the one in the newspaper sellers is matching basically the one in the peat. So basically, why are you buying expensive peat when you can get the same sort of growth using cheap cat litter? Or just make it yourself out of newspapers, wetten them up in a bucket for a few days or something, and grind them up in your electric Mulenex or whatever, and make it yourself, and basically get it for the price of a paper, or I mean, that's about I would say that's about half a newspaper's worth. A thick Saturday, Sunday Mail sort of newspaper amount on there. What did we work it out at? Was it 2 litres or something? Yeah, I reckon you can get 2 litres out of half a newspaper, I reckon, if you mesh it up properly. One of those thick Sunday Mail type thing, the one that's about 1.5 to almost 2 inches thick when you buy them. A standard daily during the week one, I suppose. You have to use the whole paper to do to cap a pot, but Jesus, every day you could do a capping of a pot sort of thing, for the pot. You read your paper, you Mulenex it in the afternoon, and the next day you're potting it up sort of thing. I don't know if that's the way you want to do it. It'd be very cheap if we can just find a way of making it produce more tannins more quickly, I suppose, in a way. Anyway, that's about it for day, what are we now? 70, are we 77 or 78 now? Whatever it says there, fellas, I'll work it out. Okay, but it's quite open opening, and I don't know what we're going to see on the 7:30 or report, or late 9, or the drum or something tonight. It might be breaking news. Don Burke has topped him.